What's up YouTube, it's TF Collector, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Studio Series 86 Commander Class Constructicon Hook and Constructicon Long Haul from the Transformers the Movie. And as you can see, this is a big old packaging, so if we move these two figures out of the way and bring it a little closer, you can see on the front you get a beautiful little picture of beautiful artwork going on there. You have Long Haul and Hook both on the front. I'm not sure who's who, but one transforms in 19 steps and one transforms in 17. This is 3 of 5 of the 5 sets you will need to complete Devastator, 8-and-up Transformers Studio Series, Transformers the Movie, Constructicon Hook, Constructicon Long Haul, Hasbro there on the side. On this side you have Long Haul and Hook, Autobot logo, Transformers Studio Series, and the movie once again. On this side you have a nice picture of Devastator, 3 of 5, to combine. We're getting very close, 3 down, 2 to go. Transformers Studio Series there, and on the back of the packaging you have a nice little capture here from the Transformers the Movie of Devastator throwing, I think, sludge. Don't quote me, I get my Dinobots confused here and there, but the Transformers the Movie, you can barely see it, the box is so big. Constructicon Hook, Constructicon Long Haul and Hook combine with other Constructicons to form Devastator, which we will get to do later this year. You have some nice product shots going on there. On the bottom, all this good stuff, more than meets the eye. Hasbro. On the bottom of the packaging, you have a barcode. On the top, the Transformers the Movie, the name of your characters, and Takara Tomy. And before we take a look at the figures, they do of course include a big instruction manual with Hook and Long Haul both there, their names, Transformers Studio Series, 8-and-up, all that good stuff, Takara and Hasbro. And this is a nice little instruction manual, of course, but you do get 2 with this Commander class set of figures. You also get the Devastator instruction manuals, so you can see Devastator Studio Series, Constructicon Devastator, and all that good stuff. And this basically just tells you how to get them all into combine mode, but those are the instruction manuals you get with these figures. And moving to the figures themselves, here they are in their alt modes. Now, fair warning, we are just going to be going over robot and alt modes today. I will put a later video up when all 6 Constructicons have been released, and that will be the combine mode transformations and combining Devastator. But for now, we're going to focus on the alt modes and the robot modes, and we're going to start by taking a look at Hook. So we're going to grab Long Haul and stick him off to the side here. By coming in close, you can see the details. You can see nice purple windows all the way around. Some nice purple there on the Hook. The Hook itself is nice and purple. Looks very nice. You can see side view. You can kind of see his hands going on there, but the wheels are painted in a nice silver and are all pinned on, so they do roll very smoothly, which is awesome. View from the other side, you just have a little bit of purple going on that side. There is the bottom. You can see his head pretty visibly. There is the top, and he once again does, of course, roll as he should. And Hook does have a little bit of articulation here in alt mode. Basically, you can, well, if you hold it, because it does pop off, it comes packed separately, but if you hold it in place, sort of, it can move up and down. The little hook itself, it can extend in and out, which is nice. The hook is on a little hinge, so you can move it around, and it can also rotate side to side, so you do have some articulation. And when it comes to an accessory, Hook just includes his little blaster going on here. You can see done in a dark gray plastic, but some nice detailing all throughout. And you will see there is a little port there, and you do have a post right here on the side of the arm for the Hook, and you can basically just tab that on right there, and that is your weapon storage. And for a quick comparison, here is Hook with Combiner Wars Hook from the Titan class Devastator, and you can see the differences here. The paint scheme obviously on the Studio Series versions is much nicer and much more accurate, but you can just see what all they changed, what all they kept the same, because of course these Studio Series versions are heavily based off of the Combiner Wars molds with slight changes and a little bit of downscaling, but you can see I do definitely prefer this newer version of Hook. And now, shifting gears, we will take a look at Long Haul, and here he is. He is, of course, a dump truck, but coming in close on the detail, you can see nice Decepticon logo there on the front. Nice purple windshields and windows going on once again. Some nice silver headlights and black detailing there on the front. the side here, you have some nice silver wheels that are once again pinned on, so they do roll very smoothly. On the top, you do have some nice red and purple detailing and some nice molded details all throughout. From the back, not much to see. I think these might be tail lights molded in, but I'm not 100% positive, so don't quote me on that. But there is the top, there is the bottom. He does have his visible head, of course, but he does roll nice and smoothly, which is a great touch. Now, unfortunately, there is no real way to articulate the dump truck and make him dump stuff out of his trunk, but accessory-wise, he does come with this blaster here, and you can see it is done very nicely. It's got the black on the front and the green here for the back, and this does come packed as two separate pieces. Just combine them together, and for storage, you do, of course, have your post there, you have your port there, and you just tab that right in, and there is your weapon storage. And for a quick comparison with Long Haul, here he is with the original Combiner Wars Long Haul. And now this is probably the most drastic change that they have made from the Combiner Wars versions so far, is this new Studio Series Long Haul. You can see very downscaled due to the skeleton piece that we will talk about here in a minute, but the green, of course, looking much nicer, and overall just a much more proportionate and better looking dump truck. But like I was saying with this figure, you do get this big old block of accessories that will serve as the skeleton for combine mode. But as you can see, it turns into this sort of trailer for Long Haul. You have the two hand pieces attached up top here that kind of look like missile pods, which is kind of cool. Part of the chest attached to each side and the rest attached here on the bottom. But you can see it does have some nice silver wheels, and they are pinned on and roll nicely. Some nice molded detailing. You can kind of see the fists in there. Now, we're not going to transform this or really talk much about this. We will come back to this big old block when we get to the combine mode video, which once again will be after all 6 figures have been released. But this can be stored and used by Long Haul, and basically how this works is if you look in here, you can see there are 2 little ports on each side. So you just kind of untab this a little bit, and then you can bring this in. You can see there's these little nubs on each side of this. So basically you just line those up, tab that back together, and Long Haul can haul around. Haha, it's in the name. This big old block of accessories. And for one last comparison, here are your Studio Series 86 Constructicons thus far, and they look very beautiful. 4 down, 2 to go. Scavenger and Mixmaster will come out in the fall of this year. Can't wait to get those guys, and then of course we will do the Devastator combination video. But for now, these are the 4 we have, and they look awesome. And I think that's all I have to say about the alt modes, and both of them look absolutely awesome, as all of these Studio Series Constructicons have so far. But we're going to go ahead and transform them. So we're of course going to start with Hook. So if we bring him over here, we will start his transformation. So the first thing we're going to want to do is just push this in enough to where the hook goes right underneath that piece, like so. So that's how you want that looking. Now what we can do is come under here, and I like to go ahead and untab his little feet and get them up and out of the way. So you can untab his feet on each side and get those out of the way. Those do tab into the side of these arms. So now what you can do is swing his arm down and get it down and out of the way. Now, what we can do is come back to this piece, and this piece is on a double hinge. You will basically be able to untab this entire section. Start right here, you can kind of see the groove. You'll be able to shift this up and back, and what's going to happen is there is a little tab, if you can see it right there, that will go into that slot right there. So just bring this entire section back. Make sure these pieces are up high enough so you can do so, and tab those in. You got to make sure you get those pieces up and out of the way, because the shoulders do stick up. And speaking of them, we're now going to pull them down to get them out of the way so that we can bring these pieces back down like so. And that is the upper body already complete. Pretty easy transformation so far, but coming down here to the legs, you're basically just going to want to untab these and they will swing down. They are on a double hinge, so just swing them down on the double hinge. And now what you're going to need to do is split the legs. So just split them And this does pop off sometimes. I'll put that back on here at the end. But just bring the foot down and basically it will just kind of thoop into place. You'll kind of be able to tell when that is in the right position. There's no real tab slot connection. It kind of just thoops down in there. But you can tell when you have it in the right spot, and you do the same thing on the other side, of course. And if you get him all proportionately accurate and give him his hook back, come on, Hook, keep your hook. But with that being said, there is Hook in his robot mode. And now turning to Long Haul's transformation, the first thing we're going to want to do is untab this whole back section and just swing these legs all the way around like so. We can then come here to the side and untab these arms. You can see there's a purple tab that they tab into right there. Just untab those, and then what we can do is bring the arm up like so, and this will swing around and tab in there. So just go ahead and do that. Do the same thing on the other side. Bring this piece out like so. Swing that around, tab it in. You can then straighten out the elbow and flip the fist out. Straighten out the elbow and flip the fist out. If you can hear that thunder, it's very scary here. We're having a storm. Scary stuff. But now what we can do is get this panel up and out of the way and open this section. We can just get his head up here like so, and we can bring that section back down, and then just take this entire section, bring it down. It will click into place. It's kind of scary, but it does click into place, as you could hear. And now what you're going to do is basically just bring this panel down, bring this panel up, and it will tab in right there. So just bring that panel up against the back. And once you get him all straightened out, you might want to go ahead and untab his knees, because his knees do tab in. So just make sure you have those untabbed. But once you get all that done, there is Long Haul in his robot mode. And while the transformation is very simple, you can see Hook does turn out pretty awesome looking. But coming in here close on the head sculpt, maybe, if we can get a nice little angle of it, get a little bit of light on it, you can see the nice red visor and the silver faceplate going on there. Beautiful head sculpt coming down. You have some nice molded details, the Decepticon logo there. All the way down. Some nice silver there on the shins. Overall, not a lot of paint, but you can't really complain because he didn't have very much in the cartoon. So overall, Hook does look pretty nice. Now, when it comes to Hook's articulation, the head, I think, is on a ball joint. It does do wiggle-waggle a little bit. You can't really get a full 360 just due to the design. If you move this piece up and out of the way, you can get a little more, but still can't really get much. Up, can't really look up, down, little bit. Arms can kind of rotate, but you're not really getting a full 360 there. But you can move them up and you can move them back. And if you move them back, you can kind of get them all the way around there. You just kind of have to finagle with it. You get this little shrug motion that you can do. This piece, of course, moves up and down out of the way. You get a bicep swivel. You do get double jointed elbow, which is pretty cool. A little more than 90 there. Due to transformation, you have a little wrist rotation, not rotation in and out. I wish we had wrist rotation. We are not that privileged today. Waist, not happening, just due to the design. Not gonna happen. Legs, forward, that far. Backward, that far. Outward, excuse me, Mr. Arm. Full splits. Thigh rotation. A little bit under 90 degrees at the knee there. And the foot can move up and down barely, but you do get some nice ankle tilt. So overall, they did improve this guy's articulation and make him much more posable. And if we bring back in Hook's accessory, if we want to store it, it is the same thing. You just come around here, tab it on there, and you can have it stored. But he can, of course, hold his weapon, so you can just tab it into his fist there, and you can have him all armed up. And for some quick comparisons with Hook, first here he is with the OG Combiner Wars Hook, who in all honesty was not that bad of a figure, but I do prefer the new Studio Series version, mainly due to paint job and the color of the green that they used. But Combiner Wars Hook, in all honesty, was not that bad. He was actually one of the better robot mode figures we got from that Devastator Titan class figure. But here is Hook with an image of how he appeared in the G1 cartoon and in the Transformers the movie, so you can see how he looks there. And I think they did a great job with Hook. Overall, I am very pleased with the way he has turned out. And now moving to Long Haul. In my opinion, this guy got the best improvement over the Combiner Wars figures. And I know in the stock images he looks super chunky, and he may even look it on screen here. But I promise, in hand, he doesn't look quite as chunky. He does look a little more slim and cartoon accurate in person. Not perfect, but much closer than I thought it was going to be after seeing the stock images. But coming in close on the head sculpt, you can see a nice silver used there. You do, of course, have the big gray brick behind it, but the nice red visor there. Nice Decepticon logo there. We've already seen most of this in the truck mode, which is nice. I am glad they didn't use a faux truck part there on the front. Looks good. The black arms, not much to say about them, but they're there. Some nice molded detailing up in here, even up in the abs that you can barely see, but you do have the red and purple there. Once again, not much paint, but you can't really complain because he didn't have very much in the cartoon. But on the back, just that one little panel, nothing to really complain about there. The wheels, I mean, they could have flipped in, maybe could have put a little hinge there and flipped it in, I don't know, but they do stick out a little far, but it doesn't bother me personally that much. Overall, I am very pleased with the way Long Haul turned out. And as far as Long Haul's articulation goes, the head I think is still on a ball joint, even though it's on this kind of panel going on here, but it can look down a little. Can't really look up. You can get some rotation. You can get a full 360 there. A little bit of wiggling and waggling. The arms can do full 360s. They can move in and out. They can't do the little shrug movement that Hook can do, but that's not that big of a deal. You get rotation at the elbow due to it being on a ball joint. You do also get elbow bend there, about 90 degrees due to transformation. Once again, you can move that wrist in and out, which is a nice touch. You do not get waist rotation, unfortunately, again, just due to the design not happening, but you can do the kick forward, you can do the kick back, you can do the full split, you do get a thigh rotation, you do get a knee bend, which is a full deep knee bend, which is awesome to see. And as far as the feet go, they cannot really move up and down, but you do get a very deep ankle tilt. So overall, they did articulate this big boy pretty well. And if we bring Long Haul's accessory back in, if you want to store it, you're just going to have to plug it on his leg here. There's nowhere on the back to really plug it in. But me personally, I'm going to have Long Haul holding his weapon because I do prefer my warriors holding their weapons. But you can see that does give him a nice look there. And for comparison with Long Haul, here he is with Combiner Wars Long Haul. What in the world were we doing, Hasbro? Look at his little arms, little legs. They're so disproportionate, but you can see this guy is much better paint. You actually have arms and legs in proportions, but this is just a big old block of fun, and I don't hate it, but this is obviously much more screen accurate, but this is just fun stuff. But of course, here he is with the image of how he appeared in the G1 cartoon and the Transformers the movie, so you can see how close they got him to his on-screen counterpart. He is, of course, still a little chubbier than he was in the show, but I think this is a much better adaptation than that other Long Haul we just saw. And for one last comparison, here are your Studio Series 86 Constructicons thus far, and I do think the team is looking very awesome so far. Can't wait to get Scavenger and Mixmaster later this year, and of course, I cannot wait to form Devastator. So this has been my review for the Transformers Studio Series 86 Commander Class Constructicon Long Haul and Constructicon Hook 2-pack from the Transformers the movie. And overall, I think these two figures turned out very well. Both very nice upgrades over their Combiner Wars counterparts, especially Long Haul. He looks completely different than that Combiner Wars figure did, and that is certainly a good thing because that old Combiner Wars figure was just a big giant brick, if we're being honest. It was just a brick. It was not a Transformer, it was a brick. But this new figure of Long Haul is very nice, and Hook is also pretty awesome. Now they do, if I can speak English, include the big skeleton part for Devastator along with his hands and his chest pieces, but we will take closer looks at all of that when we get all 6 figures and can combine and form Devastator. But as for Hook and Long Haul themselves, alt modes look good, robot modes look good. They do both have nice articulation and both come with an accessory, which is a nice touch. And overall, I just think this is a pretty good set. And certainly, in my opinion, with everything you get in this set, I think this is very much worth the $90 price point. I know a lot of people are going to complain because they're kind of deluxe to Voyager size figures, and a lot of people are going to say, oh my goodness, they just stuck them together so they could slap $90 price point on it and call it Commander Class, which maybe that's true, but in my opinion, with the skeleton piece and both figures, you do get your $90 worth here. But that's, of course, my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Now, we are, of course, continuing our journey through the Studio Series line. You can see that playlist on the channel if you want to go check that out. But next, we will have Studio Series 40 Shatter on our journey through the Studio Series line, which, of course, we are doing in between getting new Studio Series figures. So, Scavenger and Mixmaster will come out later this year, and then we'll do the Devastator combination. And as I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted by my dying phone, yes, I am filming with my phone, if I had to rate these figures, I'd give them an 8.5 out of 10. Not perfect figures, but they are very nice, and they are, of course, very important to getting to Devastator, which I am super excited for, if you can't tell by how many times I've said the word Devastator throughout this video. But these figures get an 8.5 out of 10 as a set. And don't forget, never sacrifice the things you love for the approval of others. I'll see you guys with Studio Series 40 Shatter here soon. And until then, roll out. Peace.